this, but she loves fall baking. And you guys, I am doing this class because I love fall baking. So as we have been messing with House of Haas over the past year and a half, and I've been doing 2 classes a month, and then I was like, I'll do 1 class a month and 1 VIP class. We're probably going to land on just 2 classes a month for everybody because there's just too much to teach everyone. So I thought it'd be really fun to do fall baking because since I've been gluten-free for so long, I've avoided teaching it a lot. I have started eating gluten again. The irony is that turns out I've had a million other food allergies and gluten is not a problem or is no longer a problem. However, I want to continue to teach people if they're gluten-free how to make these things without gluten, right? So today we're going to do pumpkin spice bread, which is so easy to do with or without glutinous flour, full gluten. And I already baked some, but I'm going to bake some mini ones for you too. So I'm going to walk you through that recipe. And first things first, I want to try it because I made it, I baked off a regular size loaf today in an 8x4 inch baking pan. I'm going to show you. And then I'm going to put some mini ones in the oven for us. So we haven't even tried this yet, but I'm just going to use a little serrated knife, I think. It might still be a little warm, but I wanted to show you all how it looks in a loaf versus doing little mini loaves. Check it out. Oh, it's gorgeous. We can also make a glaze for it. Charlie. Delicious. It's absolutely delicious. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this recipe makes 2 loaves. So I did an 8x4 inch baking pan, which I greased and floured. You can either do that, or you can butter and flour it, or you can use nonstick spray. I actually prefer buttering and flouring it. I find that if you use those sprays on your nonstick cookware, especially the propellant, whatever they use in there can stick to your nonstick and make them kind of strange in texture. So I have 4 little baby ones that I made. And I'm going to pop these in the oven and we're going to see how long they take to bake just for kicks. And then we're going to walk through the recipe and do the pastry crust. Roll it out for the other recipe. Charlie, if you want some, it's ready. Let's set these for, let's see, let's try 30. I don't think they're going to take very long, you guys. Okay, so I set the little ones at for 30 minutes. I'm going to grab the recipes just so we can talk about those as well. So oh my gosh, literally, Victoria, will you tell me, can you see me okay? Because it's just so light. It's like being out in the sun and then you walk back and you're like, woo. I hope that, okay, good, thank you. Let's talk about this spiced pumpkin bread a little bit. It's so easy to make that I just went ahead and made it because it takes about an hour to bake in the oven if you do it in a regular size loaf pan. So this is I used an 8x4. There are also 9x5s. So this is the 9x5. The 8x4 is over here, which I'll show you as well. But you know, the deeper it's going to be, the longer it takes to bake. And so this one took, it says 60 to 65 minutes, I think 65 minutes it says. I baked it for an hour and I baked it, it says 325 degrees. I baked it at 320 because I have convection and it was perfect. And you can see that, like, very easy, right? It's beautiful. And this is what we like to call a quick bread because it comes together very quickly. You don't have to do anything except dump a lot of ingredients into a bowl and mix it. So this one called for, this has butter in it, and it's a recipe that I pulled from Jen Siegel of Once Upon a Chef. For baking, sometimes, you guys, if I don't have a recipe of my own, which I love, I do have one for pumpkin muffins, but that's a long story. I pull off the internet. I look and I find who has the best ratings. And she is a blogger who has a bunch of great recipes. And they have like thousands of reviews and 5-star reviews. So when I don't know where to start, I'll start with somebody else's recipe and I'll mess around with it from there. And so hers calls for good old-fashioned butter. And you start by creaming the butter and the sugar together, either using a hand mixer or a stand mixer, whatever you like. If you don't have either one of those and you want to use a whisk, you just need to make sure that your butter is really soft. And then you have to whisk, 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 whisk for probably 2 or 3 minutes to get that butter creamy before you add the eggs. And then you add the eggs in to make sure they're fully incorporated. And then all you're doing is you're dumping the dry ingredients into that. It's that simple. And the dry ingredients are flour, baking soda, baking powder, salt, and the spices, which she calls for cloves, cinnamon, and nutmeg. We're going to talk about pumpkin spice today, you guys, and how you can make your own. So once we get the tart going, we're gonna talk about this because it's super convenient to buy this. And anytime people are calling for all of these warm spices together, you can totally use whatever they're marketing as pumpkin spice blend or apple spice blend or fall spice blend, okay? Some might have a little bit more of one over the other. Like she calls for equal amounts of cloves, cinnamon, and nutmeg, and I love that. But this week I also made eggnog, a vegan eggnog for, kind of funny to call it that, right? For a project I was working on, and I used a ton of nutmeg and I loved it. So depending on what spices you like the most and you like to really have come out in your baking, you can up those ingredients yourself, right? So there are no rules around that. We're just going to make it easy because I would just recommend making a bunch of whatever you like to use for fall spices, and you can use it in your baking. I've been mixing it with like almond milk, coconut milk, the spices, a little maple syrup, a little vanilla, and I shake it, and that's like my creamer for my coffee. It's so good. You can do chai teas like that. So many options. So we'll talk about that as well. But that's how simple it is to make this quick bread. And then you can bake it in a regular loaf pan, and it'll make 2 standard sizes. Once you let it cool and you flip it out like I've done, you can wrap them in saran wrap and then wrap them again in foil and freeze them. They're great like that. And then you just take them out and defrost them. You might want to heat it up once it's kind of softened up a little bit in the oven at like 225 for a few minutes, right, to warm it up. But these freeze beautifully. You can make it into mini loaves like I talked about. You can make muffins with them, which would probably bake about 15 to 20 minutes is my best guess. Still at this low heat because there's a lot of sugar in this recipe. It's 2 cups of sugar. Now that I'm like 2 cups of flour, 2 cups of sugar, 2 cups of pumpkin, a 15-ounce can. It's 2 of everything, 2 eggs. The only thing I did differently with this recipe is I added a teaspoon of vanilla to it, which I think I'm kind of on this weird vanilla kick. And I think it's just because I buy really good vanilla. I buy vanilla extract from Madagascar. It's gotten really expensive once I understood why, with terrible storms and theft of vanilla, the vanilla plants where vanilla beans are extracted. It is really hard to grow it, and there aren't many people who do it. And Madagascar has gone through some really hard times with their crops. And so it's very expensive. This was probably $40, maybe 30 actually at Trader Joe's, 30. But it's a ton of vanilla, and I had to use it in so many recipes over the past few weeks. I probably used it in at least 20 recipes. So a bottle this size, if you're not baking very much, it's just, totally worth it. You want to make sure you store it upright so you're not spilling it out of the bottle just in case if somebody doesn't put the lid back on correctly, right? So just store it safely, and it'll last you a really long time. Obviously, the larger you buy, it's less per ounce. And so that's why I bought such a big one, because the little one might cost like $17 or $18 and it's like half the amount. So you definitely get more bang for your buck per ounce if you buy a larger bottle. So I added a teaspoon of vanilla to this, and I just think I'm just obsessed with just good old fashioned vanilla right now. I think it kind of just like pumps up all of those flavors. I add a little vanilla extract to my chocolate recipes. I definitely do it with any warm spice recipes too. So just something to think about. So, hey KQ, how are you? I added the vanilla with the butter and the sugar and the eggs. So once I mixed those 3 things together, I added it. Confession, I forgot to add the eggs this morning. And so I got to the end of the recipe. I'm like, wow, the texture's kind of funny. I was like, oh my God, I forgot to add the eggs. Guess what? Everything's okay. And so here's what I did. I had already creamed the butter and the sugar. Added the vanilla to that, forgot to add the eggs. I dumped all the dry ingredients in, mixed it on a low speed so it didn't get too tough. I kind of took my spatula and, folded any extra pumpkin that was at the bottom of the bowl into it. And then I was like, yeah, this still doesn't. And then I looked at the carton of eggs. I was like, oh, what's going to happen? Here's what I did. I cracked open the 2 eggs. I whisked them, right, to combine. And then I just added a little bit of the egg mixture to the whole thing. And I used my whisk to kind of like just whisk it into the batter. So it all became one mixture very quickly. And that was that. And I poured it in. I wonder if it would be any taller. I don't really think it would be much taller if I had whisked them in before. I'm going to mess around and do this all over again. But I'm super happy with the results. The crumb is still really tender and delightful. I could eat it all day. So it all worked out. Okay, I've got the timer set for those little baby ones. Now we're going to talk about the tart. Let me finish this one bite. Sorry, it's very rude, huh? The other thing I want to mention, if you are a person who likes the pumpkin chocolate combination, I know some people do, you could certainly mix in a half cup of chocolate chips if you wanted, or chocolate chunks to the mixture and see what you think. It's just going to get melty and gooey and amazing. And it shouldn't affect the time that much. But when you go to see if it's done and you test it with a skewer, just make sure you're not putting it in a chocolate chip, right? Because that's going to make it look runny, and you won't be able to tell if it's done or not. KQ, we're messing around with the timing for the baby ones. I'm putting them on for, what did I just say, 20, 25, or 30? Yeah, I set it for 25, and then we're going to see what they look like. So I'm just messing around, having some fun with this. They're great little gifts to give, right? Or if you want to just say thank you to somebody, to take them a little baby loaf is so cute too. Or to bake it in the baby pan and deliver it like that with saran wrap around it. I always say I'm going to be that fun. I never am. I better get this away from me. Delicious. I'm going to move it over to Charlie's world. Charlie, if you want it, it's out of the shot and it's delicious. We're going to move on to the tart. And we're going to talk about tart crust, pastry, pie dough is the word I'm looking for, which we're using as a tart crust, but it's the same type of thing. And the recipe, again, I went online because I made a tart a couple of years ago that was so delicious. I think last year, did we do an apple cranberry pie or just an apple pie here? I don't remember, for the holidays, but I made an apple cranberry tart 30 years ago, 29 years ago, that I can still taste. And I'm going to find the recipe, but it had a lattice crust on it. And although super impressive to look at, it doesn't do anything for the flavor. And it's, I think it's intimidating. Once you learn how to do it, it's not. But the thing is that you're working with cold pastry and you're trying to keep it cold. Hi, Helena. Is that Helena? Not Helena? Helena, I'm assuming, unless corrected, okay? How are you? When you're working with pastry, it's really important to try to keep it at a certain temperature where it's cold enough that it's not going to melt and the butter's not going to melt and fall apart. But it has to be warm enough to roll out, right? So the recipe I found by Taste of Home, which is a very well-known magazine and circulation that's been in business forever, I loved their recipe because it calls for double crust pie. So you can buy it, right? And I almost bought it this morning. And I was like, wait, I have all the ingredients to make my own pie dough. So I'm going to do that. And we're going to go through rolling it out again. So even though if you buy double crust shells, you don't have to, they're rolled out so nicely and they're cut through a machine, right? So you might have to roll it out like an inch or so to make it a little bit bigger, just to push into the tart pan, but you wouldn't have to worry about it being this fragile. I wanted to do this too because I want to take the scraps and I want to use them to cut out shapes to put on top. So I think in the picture we showed you, it's got all these cute little cutouts on top. I got rid of a lot of my cookie cutters because I wasn't using them and they take up so much space. So now I either do round things and you can do different shapes, or last year I got the cutters to make Windsor cookies. And so I have some cute little flowers. I have this bigger round one, right? And if you press, it'll like press that stamp into a little cookie, but I'll just use this one to cut out rounds to put on it. And I kind of like that it's a fluted edge on this pan along with the fluted edge on this, okay? So I'm gonna move the camera down and you guys, we're gonna talk about rolling out pie crust because I don't think you can talk about this enough. And then up the sides. And then we're gonna just make the filling. I'm gonna chill the crust for a few minutes while we make the filling. I don't think it ever hurts to do that. But the first thing I'm going to do is flour my board a little bit. And you guys can see that okay, right? Yeah, good. I'm going to stop moving the camera this time because last time I was a hot mess with that, wasn't I? I'm going to grab my flour. And I'm going to sprinkle some on the board. And I'm going to show you my pie crust, okay? So I looked up a recipe for basic pie dough through Williams-Sonoma. I obviously knew the recipe because I worked there for so long. They have this is a recipe they have that they say just double it if you want to do a double pie crust. I only did a single. Actually, I did make it twice today. I've got another batch in the fridge. But I figured I'm probably only going to need one batch because I'm going to just use the scraps to put on top, okay? So here's what I want to show you. And we'll talk about how I made this too. You roll it in a disc. I refrigerated it, and now I let it sit out for a few minutes. We're just going to see what the texture's like. The most important thing when you're working with pie dough is that you want to roll it and turn it so that it's never stuck to the bottom of this, right? If it ever sticks, it means you don't have enough flour down there. So if it can't turn, you're in trouble. The other thing is, because you don't want to warm this up too much with your hands, you want to try to keep your hands out of it, especially around the middle, okay? So we're going to roll and we're going to turn. And guess what? If it's breaking away at the sides, you can just kind of push it back on the edges, right? You don't have to get your hands all over it every time you do that. So roll and turn. I already can tell I'm going to need a little more flour on the top because it's sticking to my pin. Can you see that? Put a little bit more on the bottom too. I'm just going to use the flour I already had over there. So now we're going to roll. The best part is too, you guys, it doesn't have to be perfect because when I go to put it in this dish, when I go to put it in the fluted tart pan, we're going to press it up the sides. We can fix it, and I'm going to show you how we're going to fix it. Okay, it's a little sticky on the bottom. That's too much flour. I'm just going to put some aside. I can tell it's too much already. I love playing with flour. It's fun. It's fine, she says. Does that mean I have it wrong? Okay, so there, I'm just going to pinch a little bit, okay? Okay. Ladies, have any of you seen the Barbie movie yet? I know, I think I was talking about this last time too. I'm obsessed. I am totally obsessed. I watched it 3 times last week and I rented it. And now I know what all the fuss was about. Okay, I'm going to keep rolling because what we want, friends, is that we want it to be bigger than this. And it's going to need to come up the sides, okay? So we're not there yet. And you can notice I'm just like turning it a quarter turn every time. But if the size starts to like wander more like an amoeba than a circle, we can just kind of press it back together. And you can just put more pressure to roll it out in that direction. You can kind of like move the dough the way you want, okay? So I'm going to do that right now. Roll, roll, roll. That one's going to need to be pinched. But it's good on the bottom. There's enough flour on the bottom, which is great news. Keep in mind I'm being pretty sensitive because I'm trying to show you all how to do this. I'm not being very aggressive with how I treat this dough. But I'm going to show you the coolest trick at the end that I'm very excited about. Okay, it's still rolling around, which is great. Like you can see that it's moving when I roll it, so it's not sticking to the board, which is very important. Turn it again. I want it to come a little bit more that way because it's not looking very round. Kind of looks like France. That's funny. And I can see that there are a couple holes. We can patch it, okay? So I'm getting close, but it's going to need to come up the sides. So can you see how it's going to be a little short there? I'm just going to do this. Let's just do a quick little patch job. I might regret it. I might not. We'll get it all put back together. It really does look like France. I'm going to sprinkle some flour there. Okay. And then, of course, if you're using the kind from the store, you wouldn't have to mess with it this much because it's already rolled out to the thinness that you'd like. And it would just, you could plop it right in. But here's what I'm going to do, okay? First of all, I'm going to cut a little bit off this side because I know we're not going to need all of it. I can just use my bench scraper. I'm going to do this. And these scraps are going to get used for the cutouts for the top, which are going to be super fun. Okay, so don't worry if this breaks. You enjoyed it too. Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm into it. I just thought it completely like turned the conversation around patriarchy and women's roles in the world into a totally different conversation and such a positive, interesting way to have the conversation. I just loved it. Okay. All right, I'm gonna just move that part out just a little bit. Here's what we're gonna do, friends. Watch this. I'm gonna roll this up over it. Pastry knows when you're freaking out. It can tell if you're stressed, I swear. Gotta have confidence. I just dumped it right over the edge there and watch this. Guess what? If it's not perfect, we're not gonna freak. Look at that. How fun is that? So now I'm gonna push it all the way down here, right? Because we don't want there to be a gap. So I'm just going to put my little warm fingers, which again, I said we don't want a lot of warmth on this pan, but it's okay to get it in the creases like this, right? And if there's anywhere where it's messed up, like there, it's okay. If it's not tall enough, just move some crust, patch any holes, move a little crust over if you have to. I can see there's going to be a little leak there. You guys, no one can see that on the bottom, okay? No one's gonna know. But if it's short on a side, you're gonna be able to see it. And it pulls away from the side a little bit as it bakes. So it's good to have it, it's good to make sure it's up to the top on the sides. Again, I'm just gonna patch that a little bit, okay? All right, now watch me work. Everything's pushed in on the sides, right? Some of it's just going to break off on its own anyhow, naturally, when you push it. But look what's going to happen. You can roll, and it's like a cutter. Why do I think this is the coolest thing ever? It's like you just ran the scissors over it. Can you see that? Ta-da! And then just the pressure of that gives it enough, cuts it right around the edge. Isn't that cool? Ta-da! I love it. So now I've got my pie shell. I'm just going to pop this in the fridge while we're doing other things, okay? In fact, I'm just going to kind of put some parchment over it. Not that it's going to pick up the smells, but also be aware because it's got the bottom that comes out to push it out. If you hold it in the middle and you don't hold the sides, it's going to push the pastry out. We don't want that yet. You can always put it on a plate. Charlie, do you want some pumpkin bread? Okay, tell me what you want. All right, friends. Now we're just going to quickly roll out these shapes before we make the filling. And let these chill too, because they're going to be really warm, and we don't want that. We want them to be cold. And when they're cold and they go into the oven, they'll hold their shape better, right? So we're just going to roll out these scraps. The more you roll out your dough, or the more you touch it and handle it, it's going to get tougher. So that's the other reason why we don't do it. We want to keep it flaky. But obviously there's some interaction you have to have with it, right? Okay, let's get it a little bit thinner. so we can get some fun shapes out of this. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put these on a cutting board, or I'm sorry, on a pastry board. No, let me do it again. On a baking sheet. English, Amanda. So that they're not going to fall when I put them in the fridge to chill. Okay, just put this over here. I'm putting them on parchment because it makes it easier to transfer them on and off there. This is a pretty good, well, I could roll it a little bit more over there. Okay, great. So we're just going to have some fun with some different shapes. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to take some of the tinier scraps and make smaller fluted shapes, flowers. Okay, let's do this. Oh, that's a star. Hold on. Where did I put? I mean, we can have stars. That'd be fun for the 4th of July. I'm going to use the little flower, okay? Oop. These are going to be hard because normally when it's in here, well, actually, watch this. Will I push it out? No, because I'm not using it properly. This isn't going to be my best idea, but I think I can do it. Because I'm not using the cutter correctly. But, oh, that's adorable. Don't we think? It's worth it. Let's just struggle. And then I'm going to use this little thing to just kind of punch it through. Okay. Oh my God, could it be any cuter? Now, I don't think it says in this recipe, do you want to look to see? I don't think it tells me once I put these pieces on, I'm just going to dot the whole thing with butter, but I don't think I'm supposed to brush the pastry with butter. I could be wrong. You certainly could if you want these to be browner as they bake. We'll get to that. Oh my gosh, you guys, I think I forget how fun it is to be creative in the kitchen like this and just mess around, you know? I woke up today and when I was thinking about going to get that, just buying the pre-made dough, I was like, no, why don't I just make it? I have the time. This is how I like to spend my time, in theory, right? Oh my God, these are so cute. Let's fit a couple more. And then of course you could roll this out again. I might do one more roll and get a few more flowers out of this. Right over there for you. Good morning. Feel free to come through if you need to, Charlie. Okay, this part you can tell is getting really like, I don't know if you can see this. You can see the gluten as you roll, you get these strands, right? And we were looking to keep the butter kind of in smaller pockets. It's going to help make a flakier crust that way. But because these are just for decoration, we're not going to worry that much. You're not going to eat like a ton of this. You'll get much more crust than you will topping. Okay, let's do a couple more because I'm on a tear. Oops, that's the star. That's fun. What do you think, Charlie? Oh, you guys, I got I don't know. I think it got a lukewarm reception. There's baby ones in the fridge too, Charlie. Those will be fun. Okay. After we get this whole thing in the oven, then we're going to make fresh pumpkin spice blend. Okay. We'll make our own. Okay, these are just beyond adorable. You could just do an entire pie with baby ones. That takes a lot of patience, of course. But I think this is going to be totally adorable. And I just called it a pie. I mean a tart, but you could certainly do this on a pie as well. Any tart or pie that calls for lattice, instead of doing lattice, you could just put your own things on top. Lattice is just meant to impress with your waffle skills, I guess. Okay, that one's pretty thick. Okay, let's do one last one. There we go. I'll call it a day with this. Oops. That one's pretty thick too. It's getting too warm. Okay, I'm gonna pop these in the fridge. All right, aren't those cute? That's gonna bug me. So we're gonna put all of these on top of our tart before it goes in the oven and make a really fun pattern. Okay. All right, I'm going to clean up this little mess. And while I do, if you need to grab a drink or stretch your legs, I don't want to waste this. I think I'm going to put it back in the fridge because since I made more pie dough for whatever I do later, I can use it. Okay, this is when my bench scraper comes in so handy, right? This guy, it might sound a little scrapey scrape, but to get all of that flour that's everywhere. Now, some of you are probably going to ask me if you could use gluten-free flour for what I just did. You certainly can. It's not going to hold together as well, and basically that means it's not going to roll out as well. So it's going to be more fragile, and you'll just have to keep it really cold, but you can do it, okay? For the pumpkin bread, you just substitute 1-to-1 gluten-free flour for the all-purpose flour, and you're in great shape. Okay, let's just give this a quick wipe. And then I'll just put it all on the floor, the crumbs. I'll get to those later. I found my pastry blender while I was looking for the cutters. You could certainly use that to make pie dough. Also, the recipe I used called for a stand mixer, but you can just use a pastry blender and do it by hand, and it's quite simple. Or it's quite fast, I should say. Fun. Okay, so we've got, I'm just going to put my rolling pin away, you guys. Set it aside. And then I'm going to get out anything out of the way that's not part of this recipe. Is anybody cooking along, or are you just hanging out watching today? I don't want to forget to teach us how to make the homemade pumpkin spice mix, so let's leave that there. I've got my butter, I've got my apples, cranberries, I've got sugar. And I just bought regular cane sugar this time, you guys. I like to use natural cane sugar. It doesn't dissolve as well, so I wanted to just show you what it actually looks like if you're using typical CNH. I'm just looking at my, in a large bowl, oh, 425. Okay, so the one thing we're going to do is that we want to make sure that when we bake this tart, we're going to put it on a baking sheet with a piece of parchment underneath it, because if it busts through the tart shell at all of that yummy apple, sugar, cranberry juice is going to go flying out, and it's going to burn whatever is beneath it, right? So by using a pan, instead of it dropping onto the bottom of your oven, and using parchment paper, you're saving yourself a ton of cleanup and potential hot sugary mess in your oven. I'm going to go check the baby pumpkin loaves. That's what that timer is for. I'm going to take a skewer, and I'll be right back. Nope, not ready. Maybe the ones in the back are. I'm going to give them 5 more minutes. So we'll be up to 30 minutes for the baby loaves, which sounds about right. And let me get a peeler. Oh, I've got it. And the sugar. And what else are we going to need? We're going to need the frozen cranberries, coarsely chopped, tart apples, peeled and coarsely chopped. That's fun. Oh, brown sugar. That's right. I got that too. Never mind. All-purpose flour. We're going to mix that in with the fruit because it's going to help absorb some of the juices from the fruit. Cranberries, apples, brown sugar, flour, and cinnamon. You guys, I love this recipe. This is going to be so fun. Let's do it. I'm going to put everything in this bowl. And then let me get a cutting board that's going to be appropriate for the apples and the cranberries. I think I want to use this one because it has a rim on it, my Traeger board. But if the apples, if any of the juice kind of comes flying out, then we're in good shape. It'll catch it along the rim, and I'll just put everything in the bowl, right? So let's do this. Let's start. Oh, sorry, my rude, my rude oven mitt. I'm going to pull out. Oh, wait, I have my measuring cups over there. I don't have to move that. I'm just gonna put the brown sugar and the cinnamon and the flour in the bowl already, because what we're gonna do, we're gonna just mix it all together. So let's just put those in there and get that part out of the way, okay? This is 1.5 tablespoons. So actually, I'm just gonna do a heaping 1.5 tablespoons, which is gonna be 2 tablespoons of flour. They're calling for 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. I'm gonna just go crazy and eyeball that, being the rebel that I am. There we go. Again, you could totally use pumpkin pie spice. No one's gonna tell on you. And then we're gonna use 1¼ cups of brown sugar. And this is 1 cup. So again, watch this. I'm going to do a generous, actually, that's about a cup, right? Let's get 1/4. I'm not worried, you guys, because when they call for 2 apples, that could be 2 medium tart apples peeled and coarsely chopped. That's so subjective, right? So even for sometimes in baking, things are subjective. What's not subjective is, I'm going to mix this with my hand so it's kind of mixed together already. They didn't call for salt. Guess what? I want salt. I might even add vanilla. You know what else would be delicious is some orange zest. Zest some orange into that bowl. It'd be amazing. Okay, let's do the 2 cups fresh or frozen cranberries, coarsely chopped, because I never chop cranberries. Let's see, is this even? I want to see. Where's my measuring cup? There we go. I'm just going to use my liquid one. It's close enough, but is this 2 cups? We're about to find out. Oops. This is all they had in the grocery store right now. Cranberries, you know, are very popular at the holidays. I should just use the whole thing, you guys. Look at it. It's got like a few more in here, right? So because these are frozen, these are going to just go flying around the board. So you know what I would do? I would put these in a food processor and coarsely chop them. I would not do this the way I'm about to do it. And if it doesn't work, I'm just going to put them in whole. That's totally fine too. They're going to go flying around the board if I just, right? So I would just put them in a food processor and pulse them a couple times. I'm not going to do that in my blender, because what would happen in a blender is they're going to get too ground at the bottom and not ground enough at the top. So the more I do it, the more they'll get kind of pulverized, and I'm not going for that. But this is fun too, because it's like, let's see what happens when some of them remain whole. Not all of these are going to get chopped like they say. Boom, into the bowl they go, okay? It's going to drive me crazy that you guys see that on an angle. Okay. So I'm just going to do some more and let's see what happens. This is hilarious. See, this is just like a recipe for disaster. Boom, boom. That's why I'm not freezing them or unfreezing them, KQ. Usually recipes call for them frozen. It absolutely adds a lot of moisture, and that's what the flour is going to do. Hopefully in the recipe, it's going to soak up some of that moisture and act like a thickener, right? So again, we're kind of guessing. I'm just checking the mini loaves. Oh, they're adorable. I think they need 5 more minutes. So, yeah, they definitely frozen will have more moisture content on them. But these don't have like icicles on them, so we're kind of good that way. But since I'm using the whole bag too, I might just throw in a little bit more flour. Oh my God, they're so pretty when they're cut like this. Look how beautiful. They're so tart, but that'd be so pretty as a garnish, wouldn't it? Okay, so let's go for it, you guys. This is where we experiment. And I save you the problems on the actual day when you make things, right? You're like, well, Amanda told me to do it that way. And then if it doesn't work, we find out here if it doesn't work. Okay, so I've got everything in the bowl except the apples. We're just going to peel those real quickly. Oh, you guys, OXO, my giveaway for this week is all OXO tools. I'm so excited to announce the winner. Okay. I can't believe that next month, you guys, in a month and a day, my book comes out. How's that possible? I'm so lazy. Sometimes I just peel right over the sticker. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to just take the sticker off first, but you get the gist. Okay. It's a loose arrangement here. I'm not worried if there's a little bit of peel because it tastes good. You could actually leave the peel on. It's just a textural thing. You know, some people would like that. Other people wouldn't in the pie. Sometimes I'll try to do the thing like in, not When Harry Met Sally, it's the Sleepless in Seattle where she can peel the apple with the knife, right, with just one turn. I like to do that with the peeler sometimes. How far can I go? This is like meditation. That's not bad. There we go. Da, 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 da. Perfect. Okay. I'm just going to move the scraps back there. Now, coarsely chopped is fun with an apple because you can do whatever the heck you want. I'm just going to cut around the core, mostly. Thanks, Loretta. I'm pretty darn excited, too. I'm just really going to try to get the most out of these apples. Okay. By the way, I am using Fuji, but if you want Tart, most recipes call for Tart or tartar, more Tart. You can use Granny Smith's. Those are great apples for baking. Super tart, super firm. I do not like mushy apples, and some are just mushier than others. Let's just mess around. Is that coarsely chopped enough? I can't help but want to dice it, but it really doesn't matter. Perfectly imperfect. The adorable crust is going to cover more of it. And the smaller I chop it, the more the yummy sugar is going to be throughout each bite. Coated. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Again, I should have turned on background music, you guys. Some nice fall music. I can't believe before we blink, it's going to be the holidays. Okay. All right, almost done. You guys, I'm singing the NFL team song, aren't I? That's what happens when you try to get involved in football with your kids and pay attention. I actually paid attention some this week on Thursday night's game. For Monday night, I really watched. Okay, those are the little pumpkin loaves. So they're up to 35 minutes now, you guys. Be right back. Now I'm going to crank up the oven for the tart. Let's put it at or, oops, bake, back, change. Let me double check the temperature. 425. I mean, that feels high for me because of the amount of sugar in this, especially brown sugar, but it's Taste of Home, so I trust them. So let's just do this. In you go, apples. Okay. For those of you who know how we support No Kid Hungry and how I just did that retreat a couple weekends ago, I'm so excited. I'm going to an event with the co-founder of Share Our Strength and No Kid Hungry tonight. And I haven't seen her in years, and she's just so incredible. I can't wait to report back. Oh, wait, I still have all of these cranberries too, you guys. That's hilarious. Let's just toss them in. Let's go crazy. I'm just experimenting on myself, right? Let's just put a little bit more sugar because they're tart, and a little bit more flour. Oh, see, I just put in regular sugar instead of brown sugar. I'm going crazy. I'm going to mix this all together. And then we're going to have time to chat while it bakes. Yum. There we go. This is going to be delicious. My extra little thing of dough that's just sitting around there. Thank goodness for the flour in this. I think that's really going to help absorb some of the juices and make it more like, almost like gelatinous when it sets, you know, like it'll be really juicy, but then after you let it cool, all the pectin from the fruit will kind of freeze up. Oop, there's a big piece I need to eat. KQ, you could definitely do that with the cranberries. If you're saying you want to serve them as a garnish on a plate, you can also skewer them for drinks and then rub them in egg white and then dip them in sugar, and they're super cute. Okay, that is delightful. Let's just make sure it's well mixed. Well, that's good. If you heated this up and you let the cranberries cook on the stove a little bit, you guys, it'd be like cranberry. Oh my God, it's like, yeah, no, you could totally melt all this together too. I'm super curious what that would be like. It'd be like delicious over ice cream. Oh my God, I might have to do that for the holidays. Okay, so now what am I doing? I'm getting my tart crust, and we're going to put it on a baking sheet with a piece of parchment on it, which I'm going to get first. Okay. And then another piece of parchment. I have parchment paper, but not sheets, and it's driving me crazy because it doesn't cut well. It doesn't cut evenly on its own. There we go. All right, here we go. I'll be right back with this, okay? Oh my gosh. I'm pretty sure this is the cutest thing I've done all year in terms of cooking or baking. So the question is, where's my phone? Oh, it's in my pocket. I just want to take a little picture, you guys. Let's remember how cute this is. And then let's do this. Ta-da! That is fun. Okay, let's fill this. Get this out of the way, which I won't be needing. Everything I don't need. All right. This looks like a lot of filling. I know I used a little extra. Yeah, it doesn't say to put any, it doesn't tell you to put any egg wash on the pastry either, but that's okay. Let's just see. Again, pour into the crust. All right, let's go for it, people. If it's way over, I'll hold some back. I mean, it's going to bake down. Oh, isn't this gorgeous? I might have to take a picture of it again if you guys don't mind before I put the cutouts on it. Tells me to dot with butter before I put the leaf shapes on it, if they say so. And how much butter? 1 to 2 tablespoons. Oh, it's a loose arrangement on this too. My gut is telling me that's too much filling. Let me take a little out, you guys, since I added those extra cranberries. Let's just not go crazy, Amanda. Let's see. Ooh, I needed that apple because it was too big. Isn't this gorgeous? I would definitely add orange zest, you guys. Oh my goodness. I see a hole. It's so funny how sometimes through a camera, you see things that you can't see when you're just looking with your naked eye. Oh my gosh, isn't that so beautiful, you guys? I can't wait to show you the picture I'm taking. Let's do this. Just wait until I edit this. I want to show you the picture. Isn't that pretty? Oh, so gorgeous. What a day, you guys. What a day. Okay, let me do one more thing. I'm going to put this on Instagram for everybody, okay? I'm going to go like this. Beautiful. Okay, now let's dot with a little butter, which I've already got here. Just going to meld with the sugar and be delightful. And then let's figure out if we want a pattern for our cute circles or if we just want to mess around. I think I'll put one in the middle. I want a little bit more fruit over here. Right there. That piece is going to bug me. Too big. I promise if I was serving this to anybody, I wouldn't be putting my fingers in it and putting them in my mouth. Okay. Let's do this. All right. Oh, now I changed my mind. I want more fruit in the center. It's not tall enough. It's going to fall. So you do want it to be taller in the middle and just kind of give it a bit of a mounded effect. Okay. So, I mean, how cute is this going to be? Should we just like scatter them? Every piece can be a little different. I could also do this. So like they're scattered around the tart like that. And then we have a bunch of flowers in the middle. I mean, come on. And a bunch of flowers on the outside. Is this cute or what? I'm into this. Oh my gosh. You kind of want people to get like an even amount, right? Now you could completely do one where they literally put the flowers all next to each other so you can barely see inside. That would be super fun. I'm not into that idea today. You could also do one circle or a big piece for every piece you want to cut of it. Obviously, this is more than 5 pieces, but I'm just doing it for looks. Who are we kidding? Let's put another one there. Another one there. These two came together. Oh my gosh, you guys. One more star flower. whatever we are calling them. Oh my gosh, I kind of am in love with this little tart. Okay, I'm gonna take another picture because, you know, that's what we do. And then we're gonna pop this in the oven. Oh, that's a great video. Look at our masterpiece. Do it this way. Look at our masterpiece. Photo. Portrait. Portrait mode is so good for food, you guys. Telling me to move farther away for portrait. I get it, I get it. To kind of cheat it. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's a stunner. All right, into the oven it goes. It says 35 or 40 minutes. I'll probably get impatient because I'm gonna wanna stare at it, and we're gonna wanna check how it's doing from a juice level, right? Okay, see you on the other side, Tart. Oh my gosh, it's just so pretty. I'm going to check it after 20 minutes just so we don't forget about it. I'm going to show you my face again. Get ready. Hello. Okay, so we're going to check it in 20 minutes and see how it's looking, okay? And we'll go from there. And in the meantime, first of all, any questions about those two recipes? Then we'll make pumpkin spice. Nothing. Oh, it says there's a new message. Hold, please. Let's see here. So cute. Thank you, Loretta. I think it's so cute too. And here's the other thing, you guys. You don't need to have a ton of talent doing that to do that. You just have to learn how to cut out the shapes, right? So we can't be good at everything. I don't want to be good at everything. I love to bake, but it's not my specialty. Hi. And so there are ways to kind of cheat things and make it look fantastic. You don't have to learn how to lattice. If you want to, we can do a class on it. I'll do a lattice tart for you guys, or lattice pie for Thanksgiving. Would that be fun? Oh my gosh, Victoria, did I add the salt? Did I? I was gonna use like a quarter teaspoon, just like an aggressive pinch. I did? Okay. Teaspoon. I did not add vanilla. You could add a teaspoon of vanilla, but what I would have done is zested the zest from an entire orange into this bowl where I'm eating the apples and the cranberries. Okay. So that's the other thing about making other people's recipes. It's super fun because you can see what you like and then you can make changes that you don't like. Or you just make it your own, right? I know I would love orange zest with that because this is gonna be really sweet. The cranberries are tart, but orange zest would add just like another layer, like fragrance, really floral, just beautiful. Okay, I'll stop. I just threw brown sugar at the computer. Let me get this out of the way. And then we'll check on the little mini loaves. Try not to laugh. I don't know where I put my cooling racks. I reorganized some things. And so they're cooling on my cooktop right now. I haven't used my cooktop today, so they're just cooling on the burners. And it's kind of funny because I really have no idea where I put the racks. But let's take a look. And then, oh my God, they're just so cute, you guys. So here they are. Adorable. You can just use, because I buttered and floured these well and they're good nonstick pans. I'm going to use this knife. I'm not going to put it on the bottom because I don't want to like scratch the pan itself. But I'm just making sure that they're going to come out nicely. You know what, Loretta? I'd probably just do the zest. Or you could do the zest in like a tablespoon of juice, since those other fruits are going to give off so much liquid. You want to be careful. See, I didn't even measure these, you guys. You can use a scale and you can measure the batter if you're splitting it between pans to make sure you're using an equal amount of batter. Like that one's gonna be bigger. But they're so adorable. This one I dug into the top because I didn't want to get another skewer. That's how I it was done. And they're probably still too warm. Like if you carve it, if you slice it, yeah. Oh, but once they cool a little bit more, I think they're more flavorful. It's like when they're warm, it kind of needs a moment to set and settle in. Oh, but dang, delicious. Okay. These are adorable. They're just going to go back in their little houses for right now. And I'll get them out of the way. And then let's talk about pumpkin spice. And other fall baking questions if you have any. I'm going to just get this out of the way. Cleaning up a little bit at least. Let me get my other spices out so we can make a pumpkin spice blend, okay? And we'll talk about the different spices you can use. If you have nutmeg, cinnamon, allspice, cloves, ginger, if you like ginger, you can grab anything you like that's kind of a warm spice, okay? I'm gonna grab, I have cinnamon. This is my pumpkin spice bottle because I wanted to see what they put in the jar. Cinnamon, ginger, cloves, and nutmeg. All right. My spice jar. Ginger, cloves, ground cloves. Do I have nut? Oh, I know I have nutmeg. There it is. There. Now I have nutmeg you could grind as well, or that you can grate. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use the already ground. And then do I have a jar? I'm going to just use the pumpkin spice jar. Oh yeah, this is the one I was using. Can you smell it? I kid. All right, I'm going to grab a small measuring spoon because, yep, that'll go right in there, okay? So I just want a spoon to spoon those out. Put them right in there. All right, I'm gonna show you my face again. So let's talk about pumpkin spice. I've got nutmeg, cloves. Oh, you know what else would be delicious? Cardamom. Cardamom. Okay, I'm gonna get that too because we're gonna just talk about it. It's a little bit, it's a little less well known, but it's having a moment. And it's really, oh my gosh, I wish you guys could smell this. It's really floral and it's delicious on its own. You'll find it, it's becoming a very popular spice in baking. And so you'll find like cardamom pastry cream, or people are doing crazy things with it and letting it stand on its own. It's absolutely delightful. I shouldn't try to inhale it. I should be careful. It's potent. So here's the deal. You can do whatever you want. I like ginger, but I don't love ginger in everything. So I might not put any in my pumpkin spice blend, which I'm calling pumpkin spice blend. All they did was take different combinations of all of these great spices and put them together and put a new name on it, you guys. Like, I don't even know. Nutmeg is really strong. I don't know what is in like Starbucks blend of spices, or I should say flavorings, because they probably just use flavors. I used to be kind of in that business at Williams-Sonoma. How you get flavors. You can really smell the nutmeg in this Whole Foods one I bought. Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. So in the Whole Foods one I bought, if it doesn't have nutmeg, I'll crack up. Oh, you know, nutmeg, cloves. Am I smelling clove too? Is my nose actually working? I am. Okay. So here's what I think. For mine, I'm going to leave the lids off of these and hope I don't spill them. And I'll show you what I'm doing, I promise. I'm just going to use this as reference, okay? The pumpkin pie spice one, because you can really smell the spices in there, even though it's empty. Oh, yeah, I mean, I love cinnamon. It's funny that cinnamon came to the top kind of in the spice world as the most popular. So think about what you want to taste the most of Usually people use less nutmeg because it's really strong. I really like the cloves too. Cardamom. Oh, I might make, well, I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to sneeze now that I've been putting my nose in everything. Oh, look at that. It doesn't fit in that. This one's smaller. 1 teaspoon. Let's, oh, yep. I'm going to kind of go lean into the cinnamon. So I'm going to do two like big teaspoons of cinnamon. I'm going to do 1 teaspoon of nutmeg. Again, a heaping teaspoon, right? I'm going to do a heaping teaspoon of cloves. I have a little caffeine, but I think I'm shaking just because I'm trying to balance it so well. I'm going to roll the dice and throw some cardamom in. Have any of you guys watched the show Reboot on Hulu? It was only on for a season. I was watching it again the other night because I was bored. And I'd had a really long work day, and I think I was sharing this. Oh, this was after class on Thursday night. We've been working on opening some new businesses, and we submitted the proposals, and they accepted our proposals. And I just had this energy dump, like in my body, that just like I just like couldn't do anything else. So I sat there and watched Hulu and watched Reboot, and it was so dang funny because they were trying to get this guy. It's like they've rebooted a show from 25 years ago or 15 years ago, and they bring back all the original actors. But one guy was a big alcoholic on the show originally, and so he always had a hard time like dubbing his own lines where you have to go back and do it. They were making him do a tongue twister, and of course I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I like silly humor, base humor sometimes. Okay, wait, hold on a second. That one? Yeah, it's supposed to go in there. Oh, there's plastic on it? Oh, there's a little plastic on this rim. Am I crazy? They're both the same brand. Oh, look at that. They've changed jars. Huh. 365. They changed labels, but they also, oh, I swear they've changed the jar a little bit. Nope, same size lid. Must just be me, you guys. Nope, look at this. There we go. There we go. Okay, I can do this, friends. Yep, I got this. Now we're talking. Okay, let's get this one put away. Oh yeah, I was like, why do I have an extra lid? Because of the pumpkin pie spice, right? So here's what I've done. I've just got all of my spices here, and I've combined a combination right here that I think I'm gonna like. Now, if you start to use this and you don't love it, you can always add more of something that you love. But I truly started by just smelling these things and being like, what smells the best? And then as you get to know them, you can always like put some with a little bit of sugar in a drink or some maple syrup or honey. So like if you wanted to try cardamom, you could make a tea or coffee and mix in a little cardamom and get to know the flavor of that on its own, right? And decide if you think you would like it in other things. But I just did this blend and leaned into cinnamon because it's really safe. You know, most people like cinnamon. And then I added some of these other flavors that I like a lot. And then before I use it in a bunch of new recipes, I'll probably just mix it with some like I said, I've been making creamer for my coffee by mixing like light coconut milk and some nut milk and spices. I blend it all together, or I shake it in a mason jar and a little bit of sweetener like maple syrup, and I make it in my coffee, and it's absolutely delicious. So you can mess around with different blends yourself. Just make your own. Most of us are sitting on these spices already, and they've been in our cupboard forever, and we don't know what to do with them. Guess what? You just make your own little combination of pumpkin spice and have a great time with it, okay? That's my suggestion and my extra little recipe of the day. All right, let's move the camera again and check in on anything else. So we've done the pumpkin bread. So I call it a quick bread because any recipe like that where you can either do it by, a lot of them you just use oil and sugar and eggs and then mix in the pumpkin. We used butter, so you have to actually cream it. But then you're just dumping everything into the same bowl. I call that a quick bread, right? An example of a not quick bread would be a yeasted bread where you've got to let it rise and do all of these other things. But when you're using leaveners like baking soda and baking powder to make things rise, you don't have to go through that process. So, you know what else would be really good now that I'm saying it? I wonder if it would be good if you chopped up some cranberries like we just did. It might affect the moisture level too much. I was gonna say you can put some cranberries in the bread, but the safer bet would probably be to serve it with a little bit, like you could cook the cranberries and apples in the sugar over low heat in a saucepan and let it get all saucy, and then serve that over a slice of pumpkin bread, or serve it with a slice of pumpkin bread, a scoop of ice cream, and then that. Maybe I'll do that for Thanksgiving. Maybe I'll do the tart, but I'll make extra filling and serve it as a dessert to go with ice cream too, like a sundae. Oh my gosh, like a fall sundae. Doesn't that sound delicious? We might have to do that. Could you add walnuts? Absolutely. You could add nuts to this without worrying about what it would do to it completely. I've just kind of like coarsely chopped them, KQ. You could use extra filling from the tart with a crumble, and especially let's see what we think about the texture of the filling when it bakes. But crumbles are so forgiving. Crumbles and crisps and all of that, because even if it's super juicy, you can spoon it out and like use a slotted spoon and some of that juice will fall back into the pan. But normally they, that fruit pectin, once it cools, they set up and they're just delicious. Plus they're no fuss to make, but you get all of the amazing flavors together. So I like finding base recipes, you know, like I have so many crisps that I make on my site. And then I just mess around with the different fruits I put in them. And I'll mess around with like lemon zest versus orange zest versus lime zest, like with strawberries. I love lime. I love it with any kind of berry. So you can mix and match things once you master kind of the basic recipe. It's like the tart here. If we like it, then you can use those measurements and mess around with other fruits. Like I would love to use an Asian pear that I have in my fridge, but I figured I'd just stick to the recipe today and we'll see what we think, right? If I make it again with the other crust, I'll use the Asian pear. What else? I love it when we have extra time like this. I can't even remember what we're doing. I know October is going to be all about this book, my new book. Have you ordered yours yet? I know all of you have probably, right? I can't ask you again. It's silly at this point. But let's look at the desserts in here. I'm going to be teaching one to my secret class for anybody who pre-ordered the book. We'll be launching a new giveaway. And if you have your receipt, like your proof of purchase, even if it's Amazon, you just go look it up and then you enter that. And I'm going to do a class for all of you who pre-ordered my book, and it's going to have 3 recipes in here where there aren't pictures. One of them is my citrus olive oil cake, which is one of my absolute favorite recipes. It's like this. It's all made in one bowl and it comes together so easily. Wait, did I just teach that the other night, you guys? What did I do that for? It wasn't here, was it? What did I teach for? Oh my goodness, it's all a blur. We have my s'more bars. That's one of my favorites. Oh, this poppy seed butt cake more than anything with the lemon berry glaze. I got that idea to do the berry, put berries puree in the confectioner sugar to make the glaze. I got that off of Pinterest. Pear blueberry crisp. I call it a crisp for all seasons. If you guys took my class the last time I did a crisp, or was it coffee cake and a crisp? I realized, you know how they tell you to cut the butter in and then sprinkle it, so it's like sprinkled throughout the topping? When you're using oats and flour like that, melt the butter. It's so much better, and just it'll be completely incorporated, and the whole topping then has like this amazing, amazing crust on it. So much better. Oh yeah, KQ, I would use any of the spices I just used, but I like to take whole spices. Like I'll take star anise too, the beautiful little star pods, and then cinnamon sticks. You can take orange zest, and I'll put it in cheesecloth sometimes, and then tie it with some twine, and I'll dump that into the cider so that when you go to serve it, you can just take that out. But Williams-Sonoma sells mulling spices, and they have forever, for 30 years, probably 40 years by now. And it was just a combination of dried spices like that. And you can buy them, you can just buy a little ball for tea as well. like even like a bigger metal ball, and you put your spices in there, whole spices, and you drop it in the cider and you just let it simmer. You can let it go for hours for a great smell, but you'll just need to let it simmer for like 30 minutes to make the whole house smell great and then to serve it. That's always a fun idea. Sometimes I put those spices on the stove with water just to make my house smell good. And a little vanilla too, of course. Or I'll buy orange oil. If I have orange oil, I'll put that in. You just need like a teaspoon of it. It's so intense. I've also heard of people putting mulling spices in their vacuums, and keeping that in there so when you vacuum, makes your house smell good, like cinnamon sticks and nutmeg. Isn't that hilarious? I thought it was actually kind of a brilliant idea. What else? Any other questions? No? Hi, everyone who's joining us. We also, I should say, if you're not joining us, or if you are joining us live, there has been a change with Crowdcast about how they let us download the videos. So if you go back to watch it and it's not on the website yet, we're working on getting those transferred. I don't know why they decided to change things. I pay enough to be on here. Chai masala tea is so many variations out there. You know what's so funny, KQ? When I did the wellness retreat a couple weeks ago, I went and I bought chai mix at the store. It was a brand I like. Maybe it wasn't Tazo, but it was something really basic. And I mixed it with oat milk and I put nothing else in it. It was just the base for the chai that's in a container, like a carton, like next to the soy milk and stuff in the grocery aisle, in the pantry aisle. People freaked out. They loved it so much. So I had to laugh. You can get really complicated with your chai spices, or you can just use whatever you like. A lot of the typical Indian ones also have black pepper in them, right? So if you use like cardamom and some of those other more complex ones, but it's kind of like, what am I comparing it to? It's not moles, like in Mexican cooking, you can find so many different recipes. I feel the same way about chai blends. So even what I just used would be a delicious, or what I ever just made would be a delicious chai mix. Yeah, exactly. You just mess around. Okay. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh, but I can't wait to show you the finished product. And I might take it out early just because, look, it's so funny. I didn't put the rest of that filling in, but now since it's baking down, some of the round circles are kind of going like that. So you can mound it more than I did. So that's funny. I totally could have stuck with the original amounts of the fruit in there, but I'll probably give it like 10 more minutes and then we'll check it. And so I don't waste your time hanging out here today, but you'll see the finished product and then we'll wrap up class and then I'll finish it off. It'll need time to cool, obviously, before I bite into it anyhow. So I can't wait to show you. What else? Anybody else have questions? Pumpkin spice spread, make either 2 large ones or 4 minis. Oh, I'm so glad you asked. It makes 2 large ones or 1 large one and 4 minis. It makes a ton. So, and that's just 1 can of pumpkin, 2 cups of flour, 2 cups of sugar, 2 eggs, baking powder, baking soda, salt, and spices. And yeah, butter, sugar, eggs. I added vanilla, a teaspoon of vanilla just for fun. And so it makes a ton. Yeah, it makes a lot. You can freeze one, or you can make all minis and freeze them and bring them out as you like. But that was so simple to make. So simple to make. I did it before, like right when I woke up today. And then I let the minis sit at room temp in these for about an hour before I put them in the oven. I mean, they were fine. What else? Anything else? November. I'm going to get my calendar. Let's see if I wrote down what we're doing for House Class in October, November, December. Yes, I keep a paper calendar. It's the only way I can see my whole life. So next month, I think we're doing House of Haas Thursday, October 12th. And then we haven't announced the second date yet because of my book schedule. Oh, on the 26th, we're going to do a House of Haas class at 5 p.m. Well, that's actually going to be the class for anybody who pre-orders my book. So that's going to be for a lot of people, which I'm super excited about, with 3 recipes from the book that have never been taught before, including that citrus olive oil cake, hopefully, the ones that were not photographed. So we've got the 12th and the 26th. I might do one more class for House of Hossers exclusively. And then in November, we have, it looks like we've scheduled the 9th, which is a Thursday, and Saturday the 11th. That could change with the book, but right now, that's what we're doing. And then in December, I think we sent you guys these dates already, but it looks like the 14th and the 16th. I know the 14th will stand. The 16th might change. It's hard to do things on the weekends around the holidays, you know? So maybe we'll move that up and do like the 7th and the 14th, do Thursday nights for those classes so we can get a lot in, which I'm super excited about. Oh my gosh, and that takes us through the end of the year. Wow, that's amazing. Saturdays are tough during football season too. Exactly. Tigers versus A's. That's fun. Yeah, Saturdays are hi and goodbye. You're going to the Tigers versus A's. Yay, that's so fun. Have a great time at the game. The A's are so terrible this year. People are giving up on them because they're moving the team to Las Vegas probably. And so, like, it's so sad. Can you explain the changes in pricing, $19.99 versus $9.99 and when? Yes, I can. So I think I announced that we're going to take everybody down to $9.99, but keep all of the VIP benefits for everybody. And that's because it's too much to try to say, oh, some people get this, some people get that. I just want you guys to belong and stay members. And as my business changes and we move a lot of things to me having an in-person business as well, I'm always going to do these classes. And I want you to stick around and join no matter where you live, right? So I'll be teaching classes in person a lot more, but House of Haas will always remain online. And I just want to keep members forever, right? So I want to knock everybody down to the same price, make it reasonable for everybody. And Loretta, I am digging in. It depends on when you subscribed. But what we're probably going to do over the next few months is we'll reach out and let you know when we change it. But by the end of the year, I would like to have anybody who's VIP knocked down to the other pricing. If you're paying by the month, we can do that sooner than later. If you paid for an entire year, it's a little bit harder to do that, right? So right now I'm keeping the giveaways to VIP members only. And once we're fully transitioned after the new year to everybody's on the same plan, then we can open up the giveaways to non-VIP members too. And we'll just call it one thing. We're just going to call it membership, right? And then I think it's the fair thing to do. I just think also that there's been a continual conversation since we started this business that your cooking classes are worth more than $9.99 or $19.99. And in theory, I know that's true, but I think streaming has changed everything. And I don't know about you guys. I spend so much money on streaming platforms and online things with subscriptions, and it just reaches a point where it's too much. And so, yes, I do believe my classes are worth more than that if you're coming to take a class, but I just think most of us view this as more like a subscription-based thing. And this is never going to be the part of my business where I get rich, right? It's like, this is a great thing and it's a great option that I want to offer people forever, but I'm not expecting to become a millionaire off of this. And I would like to have more people than fewer people. I'd like to have more people at less money than fewer people at a price that gets a little bit restrictive, I think, you know, like I'm not going to pay $20 a month for a service. And so I'm just a realist. Nothing against me or my cooking. And then when we open our new business, there will be many other in-person things for people to come do. Even if you don't live here, there will be things where you can come travel and join us. And in fact, there will be even a time where there are trips to take with us and go around the world eating food if you would like to join us. But we are always going to have this as an option. And when we build our new space, we'll build in streaming ability that has better cameras. So we're not constantly having me run the camera and audio and all of that stuff and make it really super special. So the word, if you want people to join, Caitlin is handling all the back end stuff like she always does. And we just haven't had a chance to dig into it. She has identified for me how many people are VIP subscribers and who we need to reach out to first. And there are a couple people who subscribed at the very beginning and are still paying $24.99 a month. And they're just, I looked at the list, I had to laugh. It's like all dear friends and family who just subscribed to support me in the first place. And I just don't want to be taking their money if they're not getting a lot out of it, right? So if you know anybody who would like to join at $9.99, we would love it. But we'll start marketing that aggressively after the new year, once I get through the book launch and once I get through this new business launch. We need to get the leases signed, but that will be my full-time job, except for this. I was thinking about writing another book right now. I'm not going to do it. I think it's insane, even though I really want to. I just think that my efforts, I love doing many jobs at once, but the effort I'm going to be putting into building these new businesses is what I want to be doing forever. And it's going to encompass this, like I said, but I am so excited to share the other parts of the business we're opening that will be new adventures for me and my business partners. We're combining our skills to do some really, really amazing things. So I think it's going to be unlike anything that San Francisco's ever seen. And really, I don't think there's another company like it, which I'm thrilled about. Like what we're offering in the spaces, I don't know of another place like it. So more to come on that. Shall I check the Tart or should I give it one more minute? You guys vote. I'll go stare at it. Let's see. Let's see if it's at a place where I can show it to you and it looks like it's going to look, right? Even if it's still a little bit uncooked. Oh, it's gorgeous. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad I put the parchment down because I can show you what happened. Oh my gosh. It is juicy and beautiful though. Here, let me move the camera down. That's just going to be the easier thing to do. Guys. Sorry, the light is so wonky. Isn't that gorgeous? But see how you can see the juices, especially since it's brown sugar. It's spilled out. I have thoughts on this recipe too, because brown sugar is going to caramelize and burn even more. I'm really curious. I might end up redoing this recipe for kicks and changing it some. But you can see how much liquid is on this side, and that's from all the juice from the fruit. So I'm going to put it back in. I'm going to redo this recipe, and I'm going to share the new version with you guys. I would put egg wash on the little pastry bites. I'm glad I made a double batch of pastry. Stay tuned. There we go. Okay, there we go. Here's the other thing. Let me move the camera again. My oven, the racks in my oven have racks that come with it, but the baking sheets I use are literally this much too big. So I put it on a rack and it always makes it fall like that much on one side. So the juices go to one side or the other. And so I just turned it so it falls the other way now, but it's not perfectly flat. And yes, unless I use the baking sheets that come with the oven, which I'm terrible about. They're bigger, they're a little bit clunkier and harder to clean. And so you guys know, I just throw my baking sheets around all the time. So that's why it probably spilled a little bit too, but without like coarsely chopping the fruit and using a little bit extra like I did, you can see how juicy it was. So I'm going to look for a couple things when I'm done with it and I let it cool. I want to see if the crust remains like baked through on the bottom, because if there's so much liquid in there, what's going to happen to the crust? We're going to find out. Should it have been thicker, right? Instead of just like a regular portion of pie dough. I want to see what the brown sugar is like my only hesitation is, will it be kind of like sticky in our teeth or not? And then I want to see what it does, because when you're working with a tart shell pan like that, and you have to push out the bottom, right? Around the rim, if the sugar cools while it's cooling, it's going to stick so much that you can't then push the bottom out easily. I'm curious. And so I'm going to just share the results with you guys. I'll share them on Instagram and what I think. And then if it's a bust, I'm going to just redo the recipe, because my gut tells me I should use regular cane sugar instead of brown, or a combination. I would add the orange zest. And let's just see. And then I would pile it higher in the middle, and I would tell people to do that. And then, yeah, I would see if I want to put an egg wash on the pastry itself. I got big questions, but that's what's so fun about this, right? You can totally make things your own. So that's it. Questions, comments, feedback, anything before we all go watch football and baseball and enjoy our afternoon? All very good questions. Research, yes, I love it. And I really, like I said, I really do love baking. When I woke up today, I think I have a tendency to wake up most days, and because I've had so much going on, I'll say to myself, oh, the first thing I think about is that I don't have enough time in the day. And I was like, yes, you do. You have plenty of time. And so if you love to cook and bake, why aren't you just doing it from scratch, Amanda? And I realized, like, I love spending my time in the kitchen. So it's always a pleasure to do it with all of you. So thanks for hanging with me today, you guys. And we'll do it again very soon, okay? Spread the word about House of Haas, and also buy my book. Tell the whole world to buy my book wherever they want. Oh, go Ducks. They're playing, oh, the Buffs. Yeah, so Colorado's getting so much publicity with Deion Sanders as their coach, huh? And they're good this year. Oh, that's going to be fun to watch. What time is that on, KQ? I'm going to go put up my feet and do that before. Oh, 12:30. Super fun. Okay, good. I'm going to go do that with Charlie. Everybody have a delightful, delightful weekend, and I'll see you soon, okay? Bye. Still don't know how to press stop on this new stop recording. There it is. Okay, bye.